The 2024 US presidential election was a tumultuous affair, one that will be remembered for years to come. It was a period marked by deep divisions, economic uncertainty, and a global pandemic that had left the nation reeling. The scars of these crises were visible everywhere, from the empty streets during lockdowns to the shuttered businesses that once thrived. Against this backdrop, a wave of negativity swept through the political landscape, amplified by the relentless 24-hour news cycle and the pervasive influence of social media. Both sides engaged in relentless attacks, focusing on their opponents' flaws rather than their own visions for the future. Debates turned into shouting matches, and political ads became more about fear-mongering than policy discussion. Voters were bombarded with negative ads, inflammatory rhetoric, and a constant stream of scandals, both real and fabricated. The media played a significant role in this, often prioritizing sensationalism over substance. The result was a demoralized electorate, disillusioned with the political process. Many felt their voices were drowned out by the noise, leading to a sense of helplessness and frustration. Many felt that their choices were between two evils rather than two competing visions for a better future. This sentiment was echoed in conversations across the country. From dinner tables to online forums, this torrent of negativity had a profound impact on the election. It not only shaped public opinion but also influenced voter turnout, with many choosing to stay home rather than participate in what they saw as a flawed process. It heightened existing divisions, fueled polarization, and discouraged many from participating in the democratic process. Communities that were once united found themselves torn apart by political allegiances. The 2024 election served as a stark reminder of the power of fear and negativity in shaping public opinion. It highlighted the need for a more constructive and hopeful approach to politics, one that prioritizes unity and progress over division and fear. Negative campaigning is as old as politics itself. It has been a staple in political strategy for centuries, shaping the way elections are fought and won. Throughout history, politicians have understood the power of fear in swaying voters. Fear can be a potent motivator, driving people to the polls and influencing their choices in the voting booth. From ancient Rome to the present day, candidates have used fear to discredit their opponents and mobilize their base. In ancient Rome, political figures would often spread rumors and accusations to undermine their rivals. One of the most effective tactics is to portray the opponent as a threat to the safety and security of the people. This strategy taps into the primal instinct of self-preservation, making voters more likely to support the candidate who promises protection. This can take many forms, such as accusing them of being soft on crime, weak on national security, or sympathetic to enemies. By painting their opponents as dangerous, candidates can rally support and create a sense of urgency among their followers. Another common tactic is to exploit existing social anxieties, such as fear of economic hardship, job losses, or cultural change. These fears are often deeply rooted and can be easily amplified through targeted messaging. In the 2024 election, both sides used these tactics to great effect. The campaigns were marked by a barrage of negative ads and fear-mongering rhetoric, each side trying to outdo the other in painting a bleak picture of the future under their opponent's leadership. The incumbent parties stoked fears of economic collapse and social unrest if their opponents were elected. They warned that the opposition's policies would lead to financial ruin and societal breakdown. They painted a dystopian picture of the future, warning of chaos and ruin. Their ads featured stark imagery and dire predictions, aiming to instill a sense of dread in the electorate. The challengers, in turn, exploited anxieties about the pandemic, the economy, and the competence of the incumbent administration. They highlighted the failures and missteps of the current leadership, arguing that a change was necessary to steer the country back on course. They argued that the current leadership was failing to keep Americans safe and prosperous. By focusing on the administration's perceived shortcomings, they sought to convince voters that they were the better choice for a secure and prosperous future. The effectiveness of negative campaigning stems from the basic principles of human psychology. Our minds are wired to respond to certain stimuli in ways that have been shaped by millions of years of evolution. Fear is a primal emotion deeply ingrained in our brains. It is one of the most powerful emotions we experience, and it can override almost any other feeling or thought. It is an evolutionary adaptation designed to keep us safe from harm. In the early days of human existence, being able to quickly recognize and respond to threats was crucial for survival. When we perceive a threat, our bodies go into fight or flight mode, preparing us to confront the danger or flee to safety. This response involves a cascade of physiological changes, including increased heart rate, heightened senses, and a rush of adrenaline. This physiological response has a profound impact on our thinking and behavior. It can make us hyper-focused on the threat, often at the expense of rational thought and long-term planning. When we are afraid, we become more risk-averse, more likely to cling to the familiar and more susceptible to messages that confirm our fears. This can lead to a kind of tunnel vision, where we only see information that supports our existing beliefs. We're also less likely to think critically or consider alternative perspectives. Fear can cloud our judgment, making it difficult to weigh evidence objectively or entertain new ideas. In politics, this means that fear-based messages can short-circuit rational decision-making. Politicians and campaign strategists know this, and they often exploit it to sway voters. When voters are bombarded with messages about the dangers posed by the opposition, they may be more likely to vote based on emotion rather than logic. This can lead to decisions that are not in their best interest or that of the community. They may be more likely to support candidates who promise to protect them from these perceived threats, even if those candidates offer unrealistic solutions or have a history of fear-mongering. This cycle of fear and reaction can be difficult to break, but understanding the psychological mechanisms at play is the first step towards making more informed and rational choices. While fear can be a powerful motivator, it is not the only emotion that drives political behavior. Hope, optimism, and a belief in a better future can also inspire people to vote and actively participate in the political process. Campaigns that focus on hope tend to emphasize shared values, common goals, and a positive vision for the future. They appeal to voters' aspirations and their desire to be part of something larger than themselves. These campaigns often highlight the candidates' accomplishments, their plans for the future, and their ability to bring people together. However, hope-based campaigns often face an uphill battle against fear-based ones. Research shows that negative information tends to be more memorable and influential than positive information. This negativity bias is hardwired into our brains, making us more attuned to threats than to opportunities in our environment.